Hello, hello. Welcome to my channel. My name is Emmie from Emmie Evolving. If this is your first time joining me, thank you for finding me. This is not your first time. Thank you for coming back. So, I just gotta breathe for a second. Um, mm, it's a lot. It's a lot to unpack. There is a lot to unpack. A lot. So, I'm going to be doing a reading for Pisces, Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus. Also for your cross watchers. Also for those of us who find ourselves on this channel without any Piscean anything, not knowing why we're here. You're probably an empath and you're probably needing messages from your soul. Okay. So let me just get the cards ready. I asked what this reading was going to be about. Actually, okay. Let me back this up a little bit. So I woke up this morning and I was like, okay, I have to get up already. I have to go ahead and do a reading. I do readings pretty much every day except Saturday, right? And it was this thing of like, as I'm getting ready, I'm watching some videos and stuff. And that's kind of just what I do. It helps my mind to kind of zone out a little bit just because I'm such an overthinker. And I come across a video and it blew my mind. It blew my mind because of certain things. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to save that conversation for the podcast. Okay. I'm going to save that conversation for the podcast. It was something so ridiculously profound and it absolutely validated something. I was like, oh my gosh. And Michael goes, well, you need to finish, getting up, waking up, and go live. And I was like, is this what I'm going live about? And he was like, it's about the validation. Oh my God. So Pisces and empaths, you're about to receive the validation that literally helps you to stop gaslighting yourself. What is gaslighting? It's not just arguing with a narcissist or this like simplistic view of what it is. And we have all of these very simplistic views on so many different things, nuanced things, that oftentimes the definition of it becomes obscured. It becomes something that's not even accurately defining what this concept is. So the reality of what gaslighting is that it tries to negate, invalidate the reality as you know it to be. Okay. And a lot of Pisceans, a lot of empaths, we have such a huge intuitive sense that we gaslight ourselves into believing it's not real. What I'm sensing, I'm just making it up. It's, no, there's no way. And we have to stop doing that. We have to stop doing that. A lot of what happens to us and our existence in this small box is us creating the box. No. Someone from our childhood creating the box and then us maintaining it, taking over the maintenance of this box, the crazy box. You know what I mean? The box of shame. Because you should be ashamed if you know something in advance. But you should also be ashamed if you know something in advance and you do something positive, beneficial with that advanced knowing. See, it's not about winning the game. It's about no longer playing it. We come here as gifts to humanity. That's why we have such a strong intuitive sense. This goes beyond just Pisceans. This includes all the empaths of the world. The goal is not to win the game. The goal is to stop playing this game. And we play so many games with ourselves in regards to what we can actually do, how gifted we actually are. And it's not about proclaiming to the world that I'm such a gift. You should cherish me. You should love me. You will never have anything above me. And, that's part of the game. That's part of the game. Trying to convince someone something that you're not even convinced of yourself. How can I tell if I'm convinced? You stop trying to convince other people. That's how you can tell. That is a hallmark indication that you are no longer playing the game. You no longer need the validation. You don't need to convince other people, because why else would you need to convince someone else of your reality? So they can validate you. Because if they agree with you, that's validation. Do you need to be validated in that way? I just had one of my most ancient memories validated this morning. And it's scary. It's a scary thing, because then it's like, did I need the validation? No, I already actually believed it. But at the same time, I was telling myself, like, I'm probably full of caca. I'm probably full of caca. Who remembers these kind of things? I'm full of caca, but it's okay. You know what? I'm going to just roll with it. I'm going to go through the process of allowing myself to really, really just accept, like, this is something that I remember. And then to have that very much described by someone else so many years later. What else have I been gaslighting myself over? What else of my memories? And I even call them memories. What else have I gaslit myself into believing is not real? This can be something that extends to previous lives. It can be something that talks about this life and only this life. You have a really good sense of who people are, how they are, what they are. And pretending like you're just mean by receiving your intuitive guidance, that hasn't served you. So let's get started. I'm not looking at any of the cards before I show you. Ooh, that emotional winter has to stop. Okay. I mean, it's fine if you like winter landscapes. That's okay. That's okay. Winter is kind of this analogy for an emotional winter, this coldness. With Pisceans and with empaths, we have a way of making people feel warm, even in the most coldest environment. Yet we stand naked in the snow when it comes to ourselves, how we treat ourselves and our emotions. And society has convinced you that if you validate your emotions, if you allow yourself to feel, and heaven forbid that you cry, especially in front of other people, like Jesus, Mary, Joseph, and the three wise men, the baby in the manger, the sheep in the field. Like, heaven forbid that you cry, because you're not allowed to, because crying doesn't solve anything. Last time I checked, and I'm sure many of you can relate to this. Last time I checked, when I cry, I'm not solving something. That's not my goal. I'm feeling something so profound that there are no words. There's simply just emotion. And in that emotion, there's this gravity, this intensity that cannot be contained. It can't be contained. So when I cry, and it's something that sometimes happens on a regular basis, sometimes it comes out of nowhere, sometimes I go a long period without crying. And it's not always sadness. Sometimes those tears are simply tears of recognition. Sometimes those tears are frustration spilling over. I mean, I'm Piscean. I'm Piscean. I'm marinated in that. I am marinated in the Piscean water. And sometimes, oftentimes, I cry because I know it's illegal to kill you. Yeah. I'm not the only Piscean that cries because of this. Where like I have such a negative feeling towards you and I want to get violent and I know that's not allowed, so let me just cry. And the people who don't understand the depth of Pisceans, they think, oh, Z, look, you're so weak. There you go crying again. And they have no idea you're crying because you've already buried them in your mind. You killed them like twice already. You've had 2 funerals. You're crying because, yeah. If you don't know a Piscean, if you think what I'm saying is crazy, you clearly don't know a Piscean. We not gentle. We're just considerate. Pisceans are not weak. We are not gentle like that. We are just considerate. Considerate. And so we cry. Uh-huh. Kiara's probably like a little Pisces. You probably got at least 2 or 3 placements of Piscean in your freaking chart. She said, nah, thousands of funerals. Mm-hmm. I see it. I see it. She said thousands. You know, that's okay. That's okay. People won't understand that we exist in such an emotional winter for ourselves, that there are times where we need to simply allow ourselves to feel, to release as a vent, to just release. And we don't even like to bother, well, most Pisceans, not all. Most Pisceans don't even like to bother other people with what they're going through. They don't. They don't. We don't. We don't like to make it known. This is a period where we need to begin recognizing, validating ourselves, recognizing what we're feeling is real. Someone caused this. It could be someone outside of you. It can be you yourself. It can be you yourself, causing yourself to feel so betrayed by yourself. Oh, that's the worst. Stability. Staff in a different sense, in a different definition of the word staff. It's almost like we have an entire staff that helps us to process our feelings. Like, I'm not talking about personal assistants. I'm talking about all of our personalities. Have you ever had those conversations in your head where it's this thing of like, one part of you is like, just don't say anything. It's okay. Don't let them trigger you. Just let it go. And then there's this other part of you that's like, oh, I wish a mother fluffer would. I wish a mother fluffer would. I got daggers in my pockets right along with that sunshine and rainbow. I wish a mother fluffer would. And then there's this other part of you that's like, can we just please not? This is just too much. This is just too much. Why is the world like this? And then there's this other part of your personality where it's like, F the world, burn it all down. It's an entire staff. We have an entire internal staff that's helping to stabilize us. And guess what? The world says it's not okay for you to have a staff. Like, who do you think you are? Who do you think you are? We've delegated you to be part of the peanut gallery. You are a peasant. And it's like, peasants don't come with an entire staff. They don't. They don't. There are situations where, and this is primarily when we were living in the RV, and it embarrassed me. I was just like, just stop talking. There were a few times where one of my youngest they would just tell random strangers if we're like at Walmart, like, do you know who my mom is? She's like a big deal. Stop saying that kind of stuff. Like, stop. Why are you telling people this? That's embarrassing. Like, stop. They're going to be wondering, like, what the heck are we doing at home? What are we teaching you that you're saying this to random people? He's part of my external, stuff. He's a projection of this part of me that understands the gravity of me. And then there I go. The human aspect of me telling him to stop. Like, no, we're not allowed to claim any type of greatness. We're not allowed this. We're not allowed that. Is it because someone else told us this, or is it because we told ourselves? Have you told yourself you don't have permission to be amazing? To recognize that you are amazing? Like, amazing. There was this note that I wrote myself the other day. Okay. I needed a reminder because I was just having like this moment of like almost like nervousness and insecurity. And it's okay for me to have moments of nervousness and insecurity. That doesn't take from my power. That makes me more powerful that I can acknowledge that. It is the weak people who don't give themselves the opportunity to acknowledge they're going through this process, right? Because it's like you have to think on some level that you're weak if you think it's something dangerous or counterproductive to see yourself in all your face. So I wrote myself a little note. I am fabulous. I am fabulous. And I underlined it for emphasis. To emphasize the fact that that is my reality. It is in black and white. That is my reality. This right now, this is temporary. This is temporary. I'm having a moment. I'm recognizing there are things from the deep that are rising up, causing me to feel unsure of myself, causing me to feel mildly insecure. My insecurities exist not because of other people who are stronger than me. My insecurities are born of the places within me that don't believe that I am enough. And maybe there are parts of me that don't believe I'm enough because there's other parts of me that recognize how much I actually am and how small I am playing myself to be. It's time we change the way we see ourselves and the way we see the world. This concept of I am enough. I don't know. I think I'm evolving past that because I'm starting to see it as like, if I have to go and say that I am enough, that means I'm actually hearing when other people are feeling, thinking, saying things that are contradictory to that. And I'm now validating that by saying the polar opposite. You know what used to piss off all my like haters? These hateful people. What used to piss them off is they try and say all these different things. Okay. And I just go about my day. Ain't got nothing to do with me. You go, you express yourself. Go ahead. That's none of my business. I had someone who was trying for months, for months to drag me into this like online, very, very public, very, very messy, toxic fight. Her and her husband. I don't even remember her name, to be honest. I don't remember her name. And everyone that was part of the circle that I was at the time walking with, and it was a large group. It was a large group. They were all afraid. Oh my God, she's going to live stream it. I really don't care. I got work to do. I got to live stream myself. Like, I just not part of that. But Emmie, she's saying things about you. Okay. That's nice. She knows my name. I don't know her. I don't know her. You need to start seeing the reality of situations that you're in. You want to defend yourself against someone you don't know, someone who hasn't taken the time to get to know you? know you. Recognize their place in your life. When they know your name and you don't know theirs, how are they relevant to you? They're not. They're not. They're just not. And that's why they were never able to drag me into this like huge ordeal. Like everyone at that time was like, oh my God, it's such a big deal. Oh my God, she is so famous. She has 20,000 people following her Facebook. 20,000 is a very fucking small number when there are billions of people in this world. But Emmie, you only have 6,000 people on. She has 20,000. So then that tells me there are at least 20,000 new people who have never heard of me, who are now going to look for me. May she play her part in my journey and help my people find me. Oh my God, Emmie, are you really okay with this? I'm okay with me being in my peace regardless of what goes on in my environment. I'm okay being in my peace. I'm literally okay with it. What am I going to do? Like try and one time someone actually someone tagged me into a live stream as it was happening, and the husband, I don't remember their names. The husband was talking about my mother, my dying mother. Yeah. And he was like, she gave her mother cannabis. I'm like, no, my mom doesn't partake in the sticky icky. Oh, you mean that time when I made vegan caramel? And like she was loving it. She was loving it. And it was when she came to visit me in Colorado, and you know, she was loving my vegan caramel. And she's a diabetic, and I was trying to get her to stop eating it. And so I told her, like, that's magic. And she goes, what do you mean magic? And I was like, you like the caramel. I was messing around with her. But was it actually? No. No, and what's funny is like she was telling me that I'm evil for doing that. But then she started giggling. She started giggling and eating more. I'm like, you pothead. And I was teasing her because there was no cannabis in that. None at all. There was no cannabis. And instead of getting angry, it reminded me of such a fond time that I have with my mom. I was like, Mom, you're not high. There's no THC in that. She goes, oh no, you're I was like, woman, there's no THC in that. I was messing with you. She goes, no, there is. I mean, I could give you some if you really want some, but there's no THC in that. That's like regular vegan caramel. That shit's hilarious. And see, here's the thing. I was just like cracking up because it took me to a place. It was such a good place for me and my mom at that time. Like we were cracking up. She really thought she was high. She's never been high before. And I was like, Mom, there's no drugs in that. Mind you, in Colorado, it's legal, right? At that time, Colorado, it was legal. She still didn't believe it. It's like, smell it. There's no THC in that. She didn't want to believe it. That's fine. That's fine. But when it's such a beautiful memory like that, no one can taint it for me. Nobody can taint that for me. How are you going to try and shame me off something I shared publicly? I shared that publicly. Are you going to try and shame me by sharing what I already shared publicly? That's asinine. That's just asinine. That's did it bother me? Because you know what that told me? Someone who has an audience of over 20,000 people did so much, put so much effort into watching my content. And you know damn well had all their little people researching more about me. Oh my God, really? You put so much effort. I'm sorry, but I'm busy today and tomorrow. As a matter of fact, I'm booked out for the next 3 months. Toodles. Toodles. Yeah. Did I need to validate that? Did I need to defend myself? I didn't need to do nothing. Nothing. As a matter of fact, part of what ended up happening with that, people started to get pissed off. They started to get pissed off, not at me. Like, why do you keep talking about this girl who's just minding her own business, who's just helping people? She's staying in her own lane. She's helping people. Why do you keep talking about her like this? You don't need to defend the truth. When you are a good person, you are a good person, and there's nothing that needs to be explained. When people have made it a point, they've made it their goal to not understand you, to only half listen to the things you are sharing yourself. Well, if I remember correctly, and my memory is faulty, the entire live stream was started to talk about me. It wasn't just they were live streaming and then I came up in conversation. No, the entire live stream was created to talk about me. That was the purpose of the live stream. I mean, how huge do you have to be, even if you don't recognize it? Because I didn't know what the big deal was. I didn't know why any of this was happening. How huge do you have to be in someone's mind when they've been able to create, that's a good number for an audience to start. That's a good number. And for them to create an entire live stream about you. Why, thank you. Of all the people you could have talked about, all these celebrities and big names, you made an entire live stream about me? Thank you. But I do gotta go. Have a session starting. I don't have free time for at least the next 3 months, going on 3.5 now. Sorry. I work 7 days a week, no days off, 16-hour days. So yeah, that's cute. I gotta go though. Everybody enjoy the live stream. I gotta go. I don't got time for that. Like, I don't have time to involve myself in any of those things. I value my time. I'm learning to value me. That's huge. It's huge. That statement, I'm learning to value me. I still don't get what the big deal is. I don't know if I ever will. Maybe I don't need to. Maybe that's the draw. Maybe that's the point of like familiarity where you don't know who you are. I don't know who I am. I don't know what the big deal is. Let's just kind of not know together. Let's go on this journey of uncovering who we are and kind of just accepting it as it is, not juxtapositioning it with like society's standards and, like, meh, meh, and meh. I don't know. What's up?
I don't know how to put this.
Yeah. This man. Every once in a while, he says that to me. I don't know how to put this, but you're kind of a big deal. Okay. Ricky Bobby. Okay, Ricky Bobby. Thank you. Thank you for that, Mr. Talladega Nights. So, Autumn, this is where we were, right? This is where we were. This is where we are right now. Autumn. Let's see what information we need right now. So, again, this masculine, I don't know who this represents. I don't know who this represents for you. It's a masculine, okay? Someone who is masculine energy. Someone with masculine energy, and, you know, I don't know, it could be you. It could be someone outside of you. Who knows? But clearance. I'm wondering if this energy is displacing all of the, like, you know, the weird stuff, all of the things that are causing you to not allow your validation from within you to come forward. The only validation that's important to you, like truly important, is the validation that you give to yourself. That's the only validation that's truly necessary. When you look at someone who has suicidal ideology going on, right? This is someone who is struggling to remain alive. That's hard. That's hard. Part of the reason why they struggle to remain alive is because they don't believe their life is valid. One of the most common things that they say is like, it doesn't matter if I'm alive. Hold on, guys. Hello?
Hello.
I'm live streaming.
Oh, no.
You're not on the screen. I'm live streaming. I got to call you back.
Bye.
Let me look up your nostril one more time. It's very clear. That's nice.
Can you see what I'm thinking?
I can see your gray matter. I got to go. Bye. Sorry. Sorry. So, yeah. People who are struggling to stay alive. That's one of the biggest things. That it doesn't matter if I exist or not. The world wouldn't even notice. They struggle with that self-validation. Do I struggle with it? Absolutely. It takes a very strong person to be able to be cognitive of that and still be able to exist beyond that. I absolutely struggle with self-validation. Some days I struggle more than others. Some days I don't remember that I'm struggling. I'm too caught up in what I'm learning in that moment. I'm too caught up in the environment that I'm in. I'm too caught up with other things that I forget that I struggle with it. That's a real person. I'm a real person. You guys are real people. This concept of I've healed beyond yada, 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 that's not a wound. That's a perception struggle. It's not evidence of your weakness or woundedness. It's evidence of how your wounds have skewed the way you see. So yeah, I absolutely struggle with that. I absolutely do. I mean, it was just what? Oh, God, my months all blended together. July. That was the most recent, and I hadn't struggled with it to that degree for a very, 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 very long time. Like over 20 years. But yeah, no, July. That's a very accurate date. July period. End of June, beginning of July. And I tell you exactly what date. 29th, 2021. That's when the struggle kicked into high gear. I kicked into high gear. My perception was skewed. There was a lot of distortion in the way that I see, the way that I think, the way that I feel. It became too much. It overpowered my perception that allows me to pull myself back out of that before it becomes overwhelming. And I became overwhelmed. Absolutely. I became overwhelmed. And that's a very, very valid place for me to be. Yes. I struggled with that recently, within the past few months. I struggled with that. And I had this internal conversation where it's like, I'm going to delete this channel. I'm going to delete my entire Facebook business page. I deactivated everything. I was just holding off on deleting this because that's permanent. And Michael told me to wait. And I can talk about it like it's no big deal, despite the fact that it was such a huge deal, because, like I was saying, this conversation within myself of really, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if I live stream or not. Like, there's so many other people who live stream. They can get information from so many other people who don't have attitude problems, other people who don't be roasting people in the comments because they're trolls, other people who know how to be an adult and be balanced and not be all emotional and triggered and all of these other things that I don't value about myself. But the reality of it is, why do you guys come here? Because I do all those things. Because you see yourself in me. And seeing me be a real, actual human being, choosing when I respond, when I react, how I do that, that empowers you, because it gives you this sense of, well, shit, she's doing that publicly. I can do that privately then. So then that holds me to a different standard. It's this thing of, do I hide the fact that I'm having a mental health breakdown? Or do I go live, not to exploit that, but just to let you know I'm okay. I know you can feel me and I'm okay. And then came this whole reality of, I was coming live, lie to you. Like, I'm okay, guys. I've just been busy. Ooh. If you guys have ever live streamed, whatever platform you use, as a countdown. 3. Oh, saw that number. I find that one space most sacred to me outside of my home. This space. I couldn't lie. Not to myself at that point. Not myself. It had to be this thing of, I'm not okay. I'm just not okay. And it's going to have to be okay to be where I'm at right now, because that's where I'm at. And the only way to get out of where I'm at, to leave that for a new place, is to be fully present as I walk towards something else. And the validation that I provided myself, along with the validation that you guys consistently provide me, it is something so powerful that it can overcome even that level of darkness, because things got very dark. Not influencer, content creator, social media dark. I'm talking about dark. I'm talking about I was placed on medication. That's pretty fucking dark. That's pretty fucking dark. I'm still on that medication. Yep. It's okay to not be okay. Like, I don't know how I feel about that statement. I used to like a lot of the statements, a lot of the one-liners, the zingers that I once thought were very, very powerful. Like, to me, I'm questioning it at this point. And that's how I know. That's how I know that I'm exiting another cycle of my life and entering into a new way of being, a new place of power. Because it's like, is it okay to not be okay? Or is it, I recognize I'm not okay? and then following that with a different sentence. Maybe following it with a goal, following it with a plan, following it with a recognition, validation, confirmation. Is it enough to recognize that it's okay to not be okay? Because for me, it's not okay to me to not be okay. So maybe for me personally, my personal statement would be, I'm not okay, but so many people count on me to be okay that I need to make myself the priority right now to make sure I will eventually be okay. Where it's like this recognition of my part, my role that I play in other people's lives, but not stopping there, because I don't just exist for other people. That's a huge part of my existence, but an even larger part is for me, for my growth. Because there's nothing worse in my head, okay, this is my personal opinion, there's nothing worse than someone who is trying to play this role, fill this role of being an influencer, a content creator, an impact man. What did Meghan Markle call that? I was just some obnoxious shit I just heard this morning. An impact brander or something like that, where they create an impact. It's like a very intellectualized label for a content creator influencer. You got A for effort, girlfriend. You got an A for effort. And before anyone, the conversation of, oh, you're just being a hater. I don't hate her, but I very much dislike her. I mean, if you want to bring up that combo, I very much dislike her. Why? Because I can see the manipulation in her face. That's why. That's why. That's why. So do I hate her as a personal person? No, I don't know her. But I very much dislike this public image that I'm being shown consistently. And I don't want anything to do with that. I don't want to get to know her. So, not that I ever would, but I don't want to. So it's this thing of how can I, as someone who is creating content that is encouraging you to grow, continue with my company and my purpose if I'm not allowing myself to continue to grow? That's kind of a semi-lie, is it not? How can I call this channel Emmie Evolving if I never allow myself to evolve? And there's a validation right there. This is a process of evolution for one person. And that one person can even serve as a template for others. A template is not taken word for word. When you download a template from the internet, you fill in your personal information. It's just a template. Although it says Emmie Evolving, you're not going to leave it as Emmie Evolving. You're going to put in your information. You're going to put in your address. You're going to put in the information of the people who are going to be part of this agreement. Serving as a template does not mean you are being encouraged to copy me and be me. It means this is a potentiality. Now make it your own. This is a potentiality. Now make it your own. Make it your own. The union card came upside down. That reverseness, this feeling of not being part of this greater good, this larger picture. Empaths, let me just breathe it out. I'm irritated by us. And just be honest from the start. Why am I irritated by us? Because we exist with this concept that we are here to love on others and empower them. And Michael had a very profound conversation with me years ago. If I remember right, he said, who the hell do you think you are? Who the hell do you think you are to continue to separate yourself from the very group that seeks to be part of you? And this very group that seeks to be part of me is the very group that I identify as the people who I came into this life to love and support. So who the hell do I think I am, trying to exist outside of what I am already a part of? Who do you think you are? Helping everyone but yourself. What do you tell the people when you do that? When you allow them to witness that, who do you think you are? That is emotional manipulation. When you do things to martyr yourself in order to cultivate a specific view of you. No, but they already think, no. Would they think that of you if they knew exactly who you actually are? If the answer is no, that's emotional manipulation. But I don't hurt anyone. No, but you manipulate them. When all people see is you being nice, and you're capable of not being nice and standing your ground, but you don't show them that. So first, that's martyrdom, and you're showing them emotional manipulation. In addition to that, you're also teaching them in order to be powerful, you have to allow yourself to be treated in a very weak manner. That confuses people. That creates quite a bit of issue. Quite a bit. I'm just living my life. Okay. So, hey. So, if you want to let people witness others taking advantage of you, you are complicit in the distortion of their perception of how they should function as a healthy person in society. If you are selling this image of you are healthy, you are balanced, you are stable, you are strong, and you let them witness that, the exact opposite of everything you say you are, but because you're branding it beautifully, that makes no sense. That makes no sense. But Emmie, you said yourself, you're a business. I run a business. I am not a business. The witnessing of me and my personal journey as a human being, that's a part of my business. I am not my business. There's a nuance there that maybe people don't realize. There is a nuance there. When I'm providing a service, I am functioning as a representative of my business. When I am providing a product, I am functioning as a representative of my business. When I am sitting here in front of you as a girl going through her mind and the problems that live there, I am a human being, one of you, struggling through similar things and existing defiantly. There's a difference. There's a difference. There is a difference. And if you don't understand the differences of your personal life with your public, professional life, you got to pause real quick. You got to pause. I came to these terms a few years back, where if I can't internally separate the human from the business agent, the business representative, what ends up happening is I am whoring myself out. That is such a harsh term, but it is such a harsh thing to do to myself, where I'm my own pimp. I am pimping myself. And those terms are necessary. I'm not just using the people's vernacular. Those are carefully selected words. Why? Emmie, why would you say that? Why are you bothered by those words? Because they're derogatory. And what do you think I was doing to myself? When I was allowing people to access me, the human being, like they would a product on the internet. I was degrading myself. Intellectual degradation is the same thing as sexual. It is a very intimate part of you. It is a very intimate part of you. You know, in my mind, an emotional affair is quite possibly worse than a sexual affair. Why? Because, I mean, really, you can bump uglies with anybody. But to connect intellectually, emotionally, like, wow. You took the time to bond with someone else. Wow. Wow. That's beyond betrayal. That's beyond. That is beyond. Alchemist. So what do you do when you experience these things? What do you do after hearing me say these things and it feels profound to you because it's something you're going through, and what now? What now? You tap into your inner alchemist. You accept those situations for what they are, opportunities to learn. And it's a waste if you use that opportunity to learn and you don't learn. You don't expand your awareness. You don't allow yourself to go beyond whatever comfort zone you've been existing in. And let's be clear here. Oftentimes when we have not addressed our internal toxicity, our comfort zone is still painful. I mean, have you taken the time to assess, are you more comfortable in pain than you are outside of it? Because that is a huge, huge, huge thing. When you can recognize that, if that's your truth, okay? You'll begin to recognize how that self-identification, that internal circumstance that is affecting every decision you make, is the root causation of why you are in relationships, friendships, partnerships, business partnerships that are so toxic. Doesn't make you weak. It just makes you confused. Many of us exist this way, where we are so comfortable in the pain that we don't know what to do if there's no pain. So we then seek out trauma bonds, where we bond with other people who suffered similar traumas, who have similar coping mechanisms, and we're comfortable together in that toxicity. But I'm here to tell you, you deserve way more than that. You deserve way more than that. Well, how do you know, Emmie, you're not me? Well, thank God. Thank God I'm not you. But just because the person who sits in front of you right now is not you, that doesn't mean I wasn't you in my recent history. Because you don't know me either. See how that works? None of us really know each other. Not until we exit out of that place where these things that have happened to us, that have helped to shape us, that have helped to form us into good people, with sometimes toxic coping mechanisms, sometimes hurtful coping mechanisms. We're still good people. Why would you ever be ashamed of the very process that forged the steel? You want to be that sort of truth? It's going to take a lot of pounding you. It's going to take a lot of burning you, putting you through the hottest fire, and then beating the shit out of you. And that's how steel is forged. Where you are taken from your original form and melted down, that means you are destroyed. And then we wonder, like, why do I keep going through these things in my life? You are the steel. You want to serve your purpose? If your purpose is to be a sword of truth, I mean, what did you really expect? I saw someone's post. I don't remember who at this point. It said something along the lines of, you are a diamond. They cannot break you. Oh, but you sure as hell can be cut. If you want your brilliance to be properly showcased, you must be cut with precision many, many, many times. And after you've been cut and cut and cut, and most of you cut away, we're not done. Now you have to be rubbed and rubbed and rubbed. You have to go against the grain, and you have to be rubbed to the point where any parts of you that make you stand out are rubbed down. People covet the end product, not knowing the process it takes to get there. I tell you guys, go watch my old videos. It's embarrassing. Go watch it anyways. Especially on Facebook. Go back a few years. Go back a few years. You'll see a diamond being cut. You can't fully appreciate me as a person right now here in front of you today until you see the process it's taken for me to be here, where I'm at, which is nowhere near where I still need to be. It's nowhere near. That was just the first cut, y'all. That was just the first cut. Nowhere near. But I'm not failing. I'm not failing. I'm not late. I'm not any of that. I'm exactly where I need to be for my level of understanding. Based on my process of growth, I'm exactly where I need to be. I'm done with those conversations that I have with myself so silently, because I think if no one hears it coming out of my mouth, then it's okay to be this nasty to myself. It's not. It's not. It's just not. That's the equivalent of the narcissistic parent who everyone loves, but when no one else is around, oh boy, the things they say to their kids. Oh God. Oh God. Oh my God. Yeah. Yeah. It's just like that. It's literally just like that. No, I mean, but no. You won't convince me otherwise. No, but you don't get it. Oh, no, I absolutely do. As someone who does that to myself, and secondly, someone who was raised by a narcissistic parent, I think I have an idea of what I'm saying. It's okay for you to feel embarrassed that you do this to yourself. You should be. And that shame that you feel when you think I'm calling you out, because reality is this is a general reading. Am I calling anyone else out? No. I'm speaking out loud the thoughts I'm thinking. So when you hear something and you feel ashamed because, oh, damn, she called me out, that's not your time to shame yourself more. That's your soul letting you know, listen, right now it's hurting. That pain is telling you something. Pay attention. She's about to give you more information to take you past that hump. Nothing I say is intended to cause shame. Everything I say carries with it the implication of recognition of self and soul and the misalignments, the failed expectations that occurred because of the misalignment between self and soul, between need and desire. If it's something you don't need, just because you want it does not mean your soul will give it to you. Well, Emmie, well, what about the twin flames, Emmie? Do you need it in your life? Yes. Is it in your life? No. Okay, so you don't need it in your life. But we're twins. You could still be twins. But they need to be in my life. Well, is it in your life? No. So then you don't need it in your life. You want it in your life. Huge difference. Huge difference. So, are we learning the difference yet? Are we beginning to understand that society has set us up for failure? But guess what? F society. No such thing as failure. There's simply opportunities and options and opportunities and options, causations and effects, and opportunities to learn from those causations that lead to those effects. That's it. That's it. So, Emmie, are you saying you've never made a mistake? That's exactly what I'm saying. Oh, you think you're perfect in the way I was created? Yes. In my option selection, there's some room for growth there. There's definitely some room for growth there. Oh my God, she's full of herself. Who did you want me to be full of? I've asked this question several times. Who did you want me to be full of? What you say? What another content creator says? What was I supposed to be full of? And second question, to follow that, who gets to decide? Third question, what made you think that was you? What makes you so qualified to make these decisions for me? I'd say that's very ego-based. And I'd say that's very imbalanced. And I'd say you got more problems than I do. So you really should use your time more effectively. What does that mean? That means stop worrying about me and worry about yourself. Worry about yourself. I found the people who are worried so much about others making the wrong decision are the people who consistently make poor decisions and avoid the consequences and results of those decisions. It's always the person that has the most to say about other people's lives that really has no idea how to live their own. Why would you ever listen to someone who gets their life logic from movies? Those are made up stories, yo. They're made up stories. Even the movies that are based on true events, they're based on it. That means they can change quite a bit of it to make it more palatable, more marketable. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yes. So you want to base your logic off movies. Okay, so they made this movie about Selena. Anything for Salinas. I mean, I love that movie. I love that movie. It's supposed to be based on her life. The slain Tejano singer, Selena Quintanilla. I just remember watching it so many freaking times. This is ridiculous. I don't know. I might have been obsessed with that girl for a minute. Well, here's the thing. The girl who played her, this movie that's about her, wasn't even Mexican. She's Mexican. You telling me there's no Mexican actresses that could have accurately depicted her? And you want to base your life and your logic off movies that can't even depict this person who the movie is about with someone who is of her nationality, ethnicity, ancestry. Don't get me wrong. J-Lo did a really good job. So bitty bitty bum bum. Bitty bitty bum bum. Do that. She did good. Don't get me wrong. She did good. But you're telling me that I should use whatever life lessons were learned or showcased. Movies. That's not how you live your life. You're waiting for this romance, this connection. Excuse me, like they show in the movies. That's a made up story, honey. That's a made up story. They're playing roles. They're playing characters and they're told what to say, the type of emotion that's involved in that conversation that's written out before it's actually recorded. I mean, how could you live your life like that? Many people do live their life like that, but I don't understand how you could. I live a life that's so unscripted that it just becomes this thing of, people just don't understand how I live, why I live the way I do, why I am who I am, and all of these other things. And that's okay because I don't understand either. And do I need to understand to be fully present in my life? No. As I live my life, it validates everything previously in my life. I am my own living validation. I am my own living validation. And there will be people who will be brought into my life, sometimes long term, sometimes temporarily. And these people will help me to further learn about myself. Sometimes I learn more about myself as I help them to learn about themselves, as I witness them, all of these things. Like, so beautiful how we all together without even realizing, without even trying. Oh, Desiree. Como la flor. She's badass. I'm just saying, she's badass. I could lose my heart tonight if you don't turn and walk away. 'Cause the way I feel right now, lose control and let you stay. I could keep this to myself and never let you know. I'm just saying. Oh, damn. She was so talented. Her voice and everything, like, damn. And that energy, the authenticity about her, like, I feel like part of what got Jennifer Lopez famous, I mean, aside from using P. Diddy, he's a jerk anyways. We don't gotta feel bad for him. He nasty. I'm just full of shit talking today, aren't I? It's okay. There's a part of me. I think part of what taught J-Lo what it would take to reach mega stardom was her studying of Selena. And she embodied that. She really took it to heart and she played that role. She continued it through her career and played that role. She played that role. So in many ways, for me personally, it's like this. That's where Selena would have went. Jennifer Lopez took her place. That's where Selena would have went. She was well on the way to that. She was well on the way to that. So, going beyond normal, allowing yourself to go beyond what you thought you could do. The only way to really do what you can do is to go beyond the fear, the limitations that you believe in. So, as someone who is deathly afraid of heights, I have a phobia of heights. I jumped out of a plane, tandem jump, because tandem jump. Now that I know that I can jump out of a plane attached to some random man's crotch, because that's where I was attached, I'm pretty sure I could find the courage to learn how to jump by myself. I just haven't had the time. I'm also pretty sure that once I learn how to jump by myself, I could probably go base jumping too. I'm pretty sure I can, if I really wanted to. I'm reaching a point in my life where I realize I'm not just talking myself into this. This is actually my reality. I actually am only limited by what I choose to be limited by. That's it. Those are the limits that exist for me, the ones I believe in. So if those are the limits that exist for me, if I don't believe in a ceiling, I can exist in the sky. Sip on that for a little bit. Take a sip of it. Take a sip of it. If I don't believe in a ceiling, I could exist in the sky. That's a really good question, Christy. Are you still afraid of heights now? Did that help? So here's the thing. Being however many feet in the sky, dangling, okay? Dangling, right? As dangling from this man's crotch, as dangling. It takes a few minutes with the parachute open. It takes a few minutes to reach the ground. I've never felt more at home. That was the crazy thing. I've never felt more at home and more at peace than dangling from a piece of fabric attached to a man's crotch. It was peaceful. So you ask me, am I still afraid of heights now? Only heights that are attached to the earth. Isn't that crazy? There was no fear being dangled in the sky. But you put me on a high ladder. Oh my God. Holy shit, I'm gonna fall. You put me on a roof. Holy shit, I'm gonna fall. You put me in the sky. I'm at home. And maybe that's a thing. Maybe that's where the fear lies. Being at the top of something that's so beneath you. So beneath you. That fear of falling. I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy. It's crazy. And you could apply that to your life, because it's like this thing of, how do I get all the way up there? Like, I'm here on earth and that's my purpose. And oh my God, that's so high. Good God, that's so high. How do I get up there? I got up there in a rickety ass plane with it. It didn't have seats, yo. It didn't have seats. It wasn't like the movies. It was not like the movies where we all did lined up in the seats and then they slide the door and we're standing and like, all right, jump, jump. No, no. It was this thing of there were 4 of us in the plane, which was like the trunk of a car, sitting on the floor. And then he opened the door from behind him. He goes, "You ready?" And I said, "Okay." And then as he dragged his ass to the door, because I'm attached to him, I got dragged too. And part of me was like, no, don't keep your hands to yourself. I had to sit like this, you know? Yeah, because I would have clawed everyone. Like, no, I don't think so. This doesn't feel safe. Didn't say shit. I don't think I was afraid either. But then my logical mind took over and I'm like, okay, well, we're going to see. There's only one way down. We're just going to see, okay? We're going to see. We're going to see. And as he put one leg over, he forced me to put both my legs over because I'm between his legs. And as he puts one leg over, his other leg is going over. And so now we're both on the side. And he says to me, "You ready?" Yay! Yay! Make a cool face. Fuck. It's like, do I trust you? And then falling into your greatness. Where once you let go, there's no other choice but to fly. Falling into your greatness. Sometimes the path that we take to reach the greatness that we were designed to live, to be, it comes in the form of a rickety plane that you think will crash. In reality, that rise to the top should not involve all these unnecessary people. I needed to experience that with one other person in this world. One other person, one other jumper. There were 2 guides, one for each of us, and there was a guy driving the plane. That's the only person I needed to experience that with. And that's such a beautiful metaphor for my life because I've always thought, up until that point, I always thought that it would be selfish of me to reach the top alone, that I had to bring all these people with me. And then I think about Aliyah and how she passed. There are some shady things involved with that story. There are. But at the end of the day, the logistics of it, they overloaded the plane. It was filled beyond capacity with people and luggage. And it crashed not far from that road. Crashed. If you think it's your job to do that, remember her. And that wasn't that skydiving thing. That wasn't exactly planned. As a matter of fact, I didn't realize I contacted a completely different skydiving company. I thought I had messaged one that I've seen for a very long time. In reality, I contacted a place completely different. And as a person I chose to jump with was driving us there, I'm like, "Where are you going?" "To the address that you gave me to GPS to." And I was like, "That's not the place." "That's not the place. I don't know where you're taking us." Oh my God, where are we going? And then to not be able to find the actual mini airport, to where I had to call the owner and be like, hey, we've been lost in the area for quite a bit already. Can you give us instructions on how to get there, directions? And for him to tell me, oh man, you're not in my calendar. Those to me, as someone who at that time was living in a place of fear consistently, those are all signs we're not supposed to jump. And I know that experience changed me because I said, no, we're going. And if we're really at risk of actually dying, the plane won't leave the ground. That's the final indication. Like, the plane will not leave the ground. And when we got into that tin can with wings, and I was like, it's not going to take off. It's not going to take off. That's how I'll know. It's not going to take off, and that's how I'll know. Motherfucker took off. I was like, we're actually lifting off the ground. We're actually lifting off the ground. And see, people ask me, were you afraid as you were taking off? And no, I wasn't, because how, as someone who's afraid of heights, are you going to be afraid if all you see is the sky? We were sitting on the floor of the plane. The windows were about this high. Like, I can't see anything but sky. How are you going to be afraid of your rise when all you're focused on is that point that's, you know, that you're supposed to be somewhere up there, like, just, it's somewhere up there. And you're so focused on the process that you're in to get to that place that you know you belong at. And it has nothing to do with like showing people, being better than others. Getting in that plane had nothing to do with that for me. Nothing. Nothing to do with that. At all. Like, at all. Yeah. You know, people ask me, well, Emmie, why did you do it? Why did you get in that plane and jump? Well, I didn't feel alive. Just lost my mom. And I needed to feel alive in some way, shape, or form. I needed to feel alive. What other way can you become so cognitive of the fact that you're alive when you're doing something that could potentially not keep you alive anymore? And someone was like, oh, so now you're like an adrenaline junkie? I'm a life junkie. I can, after having healed parts of me, I'm not completely healed, but after healing parts of me, I can feel that alive holding a piece of crystal, going to a river, sitting in my room. All it takes is that one time of actually feeling it for you to know what you're supposed to feel. And then you can recreate that in any other environment that you want. So does that mean I'm now like an adrenaline junkie? No, it wasn't about an adrenaline rush. It's about feeling alive, because I'd forgotten how that felt like. I'd forgotten how that felt like. It's okay to have forgotten. When you realize you've forgotten, that's an indication that you're ready to remember. That's all it is. It's like this thing of, I feel hungry. Do I need to go through this process of, oh my God, I'm such a failure. I didn't eat in time and now I'm hungry. Oh my God, why am I like this? No. When you feel hungry, you recognize it's time to eat. When you feel not so alive, you recognize, theoretically, I mean, that's how it's supposed to work, right? That's your point of recognition. Oh, you know what? I've forgotten how to truly be alive and truly be present. You can't be anywhere else mentally or emotionally when you jump out of a plane. You just can't. There's no way. The beauty of what you're seeing in front of you in the however many minutes it took to parachute all the way back down, there's no space for any of the bullshit. There's just no space for any of the bullshit. My brain, I'm neurodivergent. I don't just have one thought, I have multiple thoughts at one time. A layering. Multi-dimensional consciousness. I have so many differing thoughts simultaneously. I'm the kind of person that can listen to a song on the radio while singing a different song out loud and singing a third song in my head with a fourth song playing in a different place within my head. That's how my brain works. I promise you. Jumping out of that plane, I only had one thought. I had only one experience. There was no thinking of anything else. It was just all right there coming together as one. And maybe that's what your journey is. Maybe that's what your rise to the top actually is. And we all have this process. We all have this apex within one lifetime that we're trying to reach. Some of us have multiple. And maybe that's what it is. Maybe we're all multidimensional consciousness. And we've been so programmed to only acknowledge this one right here that we've forgotten we actually have many more. It's said that for every lifetime you live, there's 12 of you in different realities living at the same time. So which one is valid? All of them. And maybe that apex that you're trying to reach is that singular point of recognition that all of them are valid, all of them are you. All of them come together to form your consciousness, which is valid in whatever form it takes, whatever experiences it has. You're valid, whether you recognize it or not, whether you believe it or not, whether you feel you've achieved a level of validation or not. Faith in the process. Have faith in your process. There's no other way to put it. Have faith in your process. That upside down world. Card number 33, heaven sent. Oftentimes, the things we perceive to be heaven sent are actually sent from somewhere else. What if heaven is deep within you? Valid question. What if heaven is deep within you? Not some external, intangible place. What if within you exists a garden so beautiful visually, texturally, even the essence of it, the smell of the sun in this garden, the softness of the way the breeze caresses your skin. What if this garden exists within you? And whenever you want to go to heaven, you just go sit in that garden by yourself within you. What if that's nature and creation's gift to you, where nature is an external representation of that physical, it's a physical external representation of that internal garden, so that you remember, so that you can see, this is what it must feel like. This is what it might be like. And then comes this thing of like, what type of gardens are you drawn to? You like the English gardens? It's like manicured, but at the same time, like everything's kind of, the flowers just crazy as shit. They just grow and yeah. Okay, that's pretty though. For me personally, I love Japanese gardens. And what does that mean? What does that tell me? My soul is meticulous. Everything is pre-planned. Every component of my garden will take time to grow and continue to be cultivated. There's patience there. There's appreciation for the process of maturing. What do you mean? I mean, look at bonsai. You think you can buy a little bonsai and like, that's it? Like it's in 3 months, you'll have the perfect bonsai? No, it's going to take years, upwards of like 15, 20, 30 years to create this little miniature version of something wild. You are a miniature version of creation, cultivated by the hands of the gardener. The unnecessary growth being clipped off. And here, this is like one of the most beautiful things. I was learning that when you want the trunk to grow thicker, when you want more growth closer to the trunk, you got to clip off the ends, that growth part. You got to clip it off, because then the energy goes back to the tree. Instead of growing and becoming lanky, it goes back into the tree. When we outgrow the design that the gardener's hands, the gardener's foresight, his creativity. The oldest bonsai tree is over 1,000 years old. Over 1,000 years old. So I created a bonsai recently. It's a very interesting experience. I created the bonsai, and what ended up happening, because it came in like a pot about this tall, like it's about this tall, and I was trying to fit it in like a dish. And I was like, this is screwed. This is screwed. How the hell am I going to do this? And I think it's like really a testament to the journey that I've been on. Because, I had been watching all of these videos to kind of get a better idea of some of the things that I need, how to do it, how to keep the plant alive, and, all of these different things. And one of the most interesting things that I came across was the fact that the bonsai are put in the smaller pots, and they're usually very shallow. And the roots have to be trained to grow outwards, to expand, rather than to go deep. And as you're starting this, it's like if the roots were originally intended to go deep, and then you're bending this shrub into all sorts of different shapes, it's probably going to fall over. It's not going to stay that way. And so what all of these very skilled, highly knowledgeable gardeners are doing, these cultivators, they wire the roots. They put wire to secure the roots. You're never at risk. You were never at risk. No matter what stage your roots are in, you were never at risk. And in the hands of a very skilled gardener, which you are in the hands of a very skilled gardener. Everything you go through is simply a process of growth, maturing, that there's no rush, there's no deadline, that even the parts of you that die are beautiful, they're cherished, they help to showcase maturity. Wow. That although you have branches that break off, things that are pruned away, You're never actually allowed to have a wound left uncovered, that it will be covered. You will not get an infection. You are protected. You are provided for. That's a beautiful thing. That's a beautiful thing. I want to show you guys my bonsai. Let me call my husband. It's in the very early stages. Don't judge me. It's not the cutest right now. Can you bring me my bonsai? Bye. It's not at its cutest. It's a rescue from Walmart. I rescued it from Walmart. Now I'm realizing, because I was like, I had this preconceived notion of what I should get. And I realized I should have got something else, but it's not a waste. What I got wasn't a waste. It was a perfect opportunity to learn. It was the perfect place to start. And that my perception of perfection needs to just quit because I didn't think it was perfect. What did I name him again? My buddy. Ha! He's big. He's my buddy. I broke him a few times. All those places, I broke his ass. You little motherfucker. I love you. I love you. You slapped me a few times and you really helped me to understand, like, you have your own personality. He has his own personality. Look at this. I ran out of wire. And yeah. Ooh, he bites. He bites. He bites. I got to wear gloves when I play with him. I don't play with him often. I'm just kind of trying to leave him alone so that he grows. I want to make him thicker at the base. Like, you guys, his roots barely fit. So the pot that he was in, bigger than that. It's about this tall. Most of his roots, I had to cut 1/3 of it off. I had to cut 1/3 off, but I mean, he's thriving. I ran out of wire. I want to cut a few things off to like make him thicken, but I didn't want to cut too much because I know you can only cut a certain percentage of leaves off, and I feel like I've cut about 7% of his leaves already, his needles or whatever they're called. But he bites. He bites like this motherfucker. And he slapped me. I was like, oh my God, why are you like this? You're a freaking rescue. No, he got his own thing. He's like, did I give you permission? Oh, I think I named him Kitty. I think I named him Kitty is what it was. Because he's like a cat. Like, you don't get to touch him however way you want. And sometimes he'll let you touch him, and other times he'll bite you. I mean, his name is Kitty. See more Kitty? But yeah, so these are part of his roots, his Nabaru, and he was covered like all the way up to here. All of this was beneath. And I thought it was just so pretty to have some of this growing out. So I left that there. And it's just one of those things where it's like, it's all in how you see things, you know? It's all in how you allow yourself to perceive what it is you're doing. Because first, I trimmed the hell out of them without wire. And so I didn't really know what I was doing. And then I was like, you're going to die. I have decided you are probably going to die. So I'm just going to go with this. So far, but see, here's the thing. He's Juniperus chinesum. And from what I researched, and I wired him so ugly. What I researched is that Juniperus chinesum, I think is the name, they usually don't show you they're sick until they're just about dead. So I'm waiting to see if I was able to tape the cambium level to the inside enough that he can heal himself. He bit me fucking hard too. I should have known better than to do that without gloves. Kitty, stop it. He's a bad kitty. Yeah, he's probably still pissed because Shiva, I don't know if you guys remember me saying, she was out there with me as I was first working on him, and then she decided to try and mount me. All 100-something pounds of her decided to try and mount me from the back, knocked me all over, knocked him over. All the dirt was everywhere. And as if that wasn't bad enough, as I was doing something else, she was eating his roots. What is wrong with you, girl? She was literally eating his roots. She thought it was like some sort of snack that she should try, and she ate some of his roots. I learned my lesson. She's not going to be outside no more when I'm working on stuff. I learned my lesson. Inner trust. This came out upside down. Okay. Allowing yourself to trust yourself as you're in this process. Allowing yourself to trust that you're exactly where you need to be when you need to be there. And that does not make it easy. Let go of that fallacy, that lie, that if it's meant to be, it will be easy. Some of the most rewarding things that are meant to be are the things that take the life out of you, that require the sacrifice of the old you. That metaphoric death. Damn. Trust yourself. Trust yourself. Just trust yourself. Card number 23, defend to the end the worthwhile. It's okay for you to defend yourself. It's okay for you to see yourself as worthwhile. It's okay for you to see the beauty in who and what you are, where you are, as you are, when you are. Seeing the beauty of yourself has nothing to do with seeing the ugly of others or pointing out the ugly of others. That's more accurate. Pointing out the ugly of others. Because if you have the gift to see and you recognize someone is ugly internally, externally too, I mean, whatever. My focus is more on the internal. It's okay for me to see when someone is ugly internally and to use that knowing as a way for me to discern whether or not you need to be a part of my life. Like when people, can't accept that you don't want them in your life. Like when people, have been told to leave you alone and they choose not to. They choose instead to try and be a part of your life in whatever way they can, complete with making things up, trying to connect with other people who they know are close to you. Hell, you know how many people have created new accounts just to be able to continue their BS? Or people who use older accounts thinking that I won't know the difference? And to me, it's this thing of like, oh, people think I don't know. They think I don't know. Just because I'm nice doesn't mean I'm stupid. And when people try, that tells me, first, they don't respect me in any way, shape, or form. that what they want is more important than what I need as a sensitive human being. Whatever cost, they feel I should pay it just to validate their entitlement. And then secondly, they're showing me exactly what they think of me. That I am some sort of inanimate commodity. Because what? Because you've got it in your head that I'm your twin? And that I'm just afraid of the connection because, like, then I'll know that I'm really supposed to be with you. That's kind of how I know that the person who I've identified as my counterpart is most likely my counterpart. He doesn't do that. He's never reached out. He's never done any of that. In years, he's never done any of that. Not a single time. Not a single time has he ever done anything to disrespect my sovereignty, to make me feel as though he thinks he owns me, to make me feel badly about myself, to make me feel like I'm a mean person. Not a single time. And I didn't even have to say stay away. So whenever more people like that come around, and there's a few that have been at it for a couple of years at this point, every single time it's like this thing of further confirmation of who the counterpart truly is. There are toxic people in this world. Extremely toxic people. Some of them have psychological issues. And this is not to shame people with psychological issues. This is to help you know that for some, not only is it a case of complete disregard of your health and safety, your needs, your sovereignty, your privacy, it's also an actual psychological dysfunction that's encouraging their disrespectful, intrusive, obtrusive behaviors. I'm aware of more than what I let on. I'm aware of much more. By the time a Piscean or an empath says something, you better watch out. You better watch out. That's not a threat. That's advice. You better watch out because they're probably going to wild out on you. They're probably so sick of your stuff that now they just cannot be nice at this point. By the time they say something, after the storm, every word, a drop in that storm. You're about to get caught up in a storm. You're about to get caught up in a storm. I'm learning to give myself the type of space and compassion to wild the fuck out. The thing that's interesting is the people who need to hear this type of thing the most are the people who have the habit of like, oh, she can't be talking about me. I absolutely am. I absolutely am. Addressing you directly. But she said this is a general. Why are you worried? Why are you worried? Why are you starting to get nervous? I'll tell you why. Because you have a full knowing of how disrespectful you have been, how much you've disregarded, because it resonates. That means the people are aware. They are aware, fully cognitive, aware. They are aware that they're disregarding your need as a human being. They are aware. I mean, for people who are not aware, why do you need to make a new profile? Why do you need to switch to an old profile? I mean, why is there a different profile? And some might say, well, because I can't comment. You can't comment with your original profile? Oh, that's because you've been removed for a reason. You know what I'm saying? They're aware. They are aware to some degree what they're doing to you. They are aware. I'm at a point where it's like, I need to just remind myself to be very, very, very thankful, very grateful for the type of counterpart I actually do have. There's no disruptions. There's no manipulations. There's no toxicity like that. Just none. Just this beautiful silence and a beautiful knowing. It's a beautiful thing. It's a really beautiful thing. Just a silence and a knowing, and that's that. That's enough for this lifetime. That's been enough for the past how many years? And, when that isn't enough anymore and we actually have to do work together, then that will be whatever it is, But I don't have to worry about this, like, how many profiles have you made to stalk me? How many this? How many that? Like, oh my God. I've never felt that. Not from a true counterpart. I have several twin flames that I found. Sometimes they come on the live. It's always the same account. There's no stalking me. There's no creating new accounts to be able to force themselves into my life. It's none of that. Validation. And that's why they're allowed to continue to be a part of my life. Only allow that which respects your sovereign dignity. When people choose to live in such a way that disrespects and disregards your sovereign right to exist with dignity, to be heard, to be respected, at least at the base level of respect where you don't want me around, so let me just not be around. I don't know. I've had people saying that, believing strongly that the only reason they're not around is because my husband is in the way. Men and women. No, you're not around because you're locked. That's what you are. Toxic as fuck. That's what you are. My husband never asks me to block people. He never does. Now, when your behavior is extremely out of hand, he will request that I talk to you and put you back in your place because your behavior is so out of hand. So I have a beautiful marriage, a healthy one. We don't always agree. We don't always see eye to eye. Sometimes there are passionate exchanges of words. It's beautiful because it's real. Because I have the freedom to decide for myself who I want around and who I don't. There's never obligations. There's never any of that stuff. And he set the standard high for me. Anything less than the way he loves me, I don't want it around. Whether it's friendship, whether it's business partnership, I don't want it around. I don't want it around because I deserve so much more than that basic level bullshit. And when I say I don't want it around, I mean I don't want it around. And if they won't validate that need that is aligned with that want of the lack of their presence, they've just validated for you this feeling, this sense that they don't respect you. Believe them. Believe them the first time. Upside down. Dream a beautiful dream. Someone's dream is your nightmare. Their dream is to own you, and to you, that's a nightmare. So what do you do? How do you wake that up? You stop pretending that you don't know. You know. You know. You know way more than you ever let on. You know. You know. What I found myself doing, and I'm sure many of you can relate, it's this thing of, well, I don't really know. I mean, how can I prove this? What do you need to prove? Excuse me. What do you need to prove? The fact that you're questioning it tells me you're probably accurate. It's the people who are like, no, I'm a psychic. What's that mean? What's that mean? So you've identified as something that says nothing about your actual true skill. What does that statement, I'm a psychic, mean? That I should automatically believe you? You're a psychic? I'm a precog. I saw your bullshit coming miles away. Yeah. What now? Now we both have labels. What now? Not a damn thing is what? Not a damn thing. Focus on your growth. Focus on you. Focus on cultivating your perception of you and what you've been through, what you are going through, what you might go through. Select your options based on the most peaceful level of growth. You can grow peacefully. So bonsai, they're typically designed in a way that simulates years upon years of growth. Kitty over here is designed in a way where I'm trying to simulate a windswept type of look, where this plant has aged in an area that has a lot of wind, constant wind. Why? Because I'm working on my throat chakra. Was that a cognitive thing? A cognitive factor in the design that I chose? No. There was no predetermined design. There was this, well, it's kind of tall. I can't exactly cut all of that off. There's nothing going to be left at the bottom because I unknowingly cut all the bottom before I realized what I was doing. And now everything that's left is long. So, damn, I think I killed this plant. Yeah. That's how it went. That's how the process went. Like, I shouldn't have cut all that. Damn it. Okay, we're going to have to do what we're going to do. We're going to have to figure it out. figured it out. I figured he's going to be lanky. And his name will be Kitty. And then that's that. Moving forward. Allowing myself to focus on whatever's in front of me. Kitty is not in front of me right now. Kitty is a part of my process. This external representation of an internal process. This recognition on a cognitive level, conscious level. My process is never overnight. My process involves pruning parts of myself. My process involves celebrating, cherishing the parts of me that have begun to rot from lack of use, from lack of necessity. It's evidence of my maturity. Only the saplings have all their branches. Only the saplings. Does that mean one is more valid than the other? No. They're just positioned in different planes of existence. They're each their own. They are each their own. Card number 5, follow your own rhythm, allowing yourself to go through your processes. You don't own me. I'm not just one of your many toys. See, here's the thing. And I mean, this is not directed at you, Christy, but here's the thing. That makes me think that there's this implication that as long as I'm your favorite toy, then it's okay. I just don't want to be one of your many toys. I'm not a toy. I'm not a toy. I'm not willing to be a toy. Nor am I willing to be a snack or a side dish or any of that. I'm that item on the menu that is so valuable. Not many people are able to try that. That it's seasonal. It's not always available. And that adds to my value. That people can be aware of me. People can covet me. But can they actually have me? No. Especially not if you're spiritually bankrupt. There are many people in this world who are spiritually bankrupt because they're so busy spending their energy on the aesthetics of it. The aesthetics of it. You know how many people are in so much debt, but they got Louis, they got Lubies, they got the red bottoms, they got that LV purse, they drive in the Tesla. But what are they eating if they eat top ramen? It's an aesthetic. I don't want to be an aesthetic. I want to be the real deal. And then when I grow, it's no longer a statement of, I want to be the real deal. It's, I've always been the real deal. I've always been the real deal. And then when I grow, it goes from I've always been the real deal to, if you need the aesthetics to understand the treasure hidden within, I'm not for you, baby boo. I'm just not for you. I'm not for you. One of my girlfriends, I've known her since she was like a teen, right? I met her when I worked on her portfolio as one of the models that I've worked with. And she cracked me up. She be hella spicy. She be spicy AF. She says I'm her mama. I'm like, you so my daughter, you spicy ass girl. So someone asked a question, right? It was one of those pervs. They asked a question in the comments of one of my posts on Facebook. This was years ago. They asked a question, something like, oh, yeah, So tell me how much attitude you got. Something like that, right? And she chimed in before I could even respond. She says to me, if you got to ask, you can't handle it. I was like, daughter, you killed me. You killed your mom. She said, if you got to ask, you can't handle it. Don't hurt yourself. Stop talking to my mom. I was like, she be knowing. Don't hurt yourself. Mister, please don't hurt yourself. My daughter's watching. If you got to ask to see if you can handle it, I promise you, you can't. I promise you, you can't. You can try all you want. You're going to hurt your own feelings. And that's just how it is. If you don't let people get in your head, but they need a chance to prove to you, if I'm not interested, I'm not interested. Whether it be friendship, whether it be business, whether, I don't care what it is. If I'm not interested, I'm not interested. And if you can't respect the sovereign right for me to decide, I'm going to have to use you for behaving like a peasant in front of spiritual royalty. And it's not about me thinking I'm above you. It's me recognizing my proper place and expecting you to join me there. You look at history. When someone wants to hold a conversation with an empress and they are from the slums, do you ask the empress to go to the slums or do you meet her in her palace? And that doesn't mean she sees you as some sort of, I don't know what they're called, peasant. That means you meet her where she is, where she exists. And it's her choice if she wants to hear you or not. So me saying, excuse yourself from my presence, you've tried not to meet me in a place of sovereign rights, sovereign free will, sovereign power, sovereign authority. If you can't treat me as a sovereign, I can't treat you as an equal. In order to be my equal, you too have to be sovereign. And sovereigns don't tell each other what to do. They don't. So when you got to force your way in, when you got to try and be conniving, that's on you. That's on you. It's not cute. It's not evidence of how much you adore me and you just want to be close. It's evidence of your selfishness. It's evidence of how unworthy you are of my attention. These are harsh words, but reality is harsh. Whisper in a more harsh way, a much more harsh way. That's something you chose. That's something you chose. And this you need to start understanding with people. When we choose to only hear your communication harsh, that doesn't mean you're mean or you're harsh. That means you're accommodating. Learning. Not everyone is accommodating in that way. No, I'm good. I'm good. I'm so good. I'm so good. Yep. Even when people think, Emmie, something confirmed it for me. What? You're talking your sense of ownership, your entitlement to be a part of my life. You confirmed your own bullshit. That doesn't mean it's any less bullshit. It's like I used to do post-production editing. I taught myself Photoshop to the degree that I was hired to do post-production editing for quite a few different projects, published projects. And I mean, when you give me a turd, you want me to polish that turd. It's still going to be a turd. It's polished, but it's a turd. You can dip it in gold all you want, but a turd is a turd is a turd. It's still a turd. Which you validated this BS story you told yourself, it's still a BS story. Just because you've used someone else's words to give weight to your BS story, it's just heavy BS. That's all it is. It's no more truth than before you got the validation. BS is BS is BS. And that's just that. Bullshit is bullshit. Is bullshit. I wish a mother fluffer would. Gotta follow it up with that. Bring it into form. This is someone who doesn't want to walk away from you. Who cares? Walk away from them. Take away that option. I'm not an option. I'm not stuck here. I'm not an option. I'm not stuck. You don't want to walk away? I'm walking away. How about that? How about that? Yeah? Yeah? How about that? No one can stop you from walking away. No one. When you choose to hesitate, that's your choice. Conscious connections. Someone thinks they have a conscious connection with you. They're validating for you how disconnected they are from the reality of what your needs are, what you want. It's a disconnect that exists on a fundamental level. Some people think that just because they've shared a past life with you, that somehow they're entitled to you. If I didn't like you in a past life, whatever the hell made you think I was going to like you in this one? That's just crazy. That's crazy. That makes me scratch my head. That's crazy. I scratch my head in different places. Can you guys hear and see me? Okay. Perfect. Collaborative dreaming. This is someone who dreams some very upside down things about you. Okay. This is someone who is very delusional. Very, very delusional. Don't play with them. Don't play with them. Be very, very clear. Be very clear in your perceptions. Card number 39, free from judgment, free to love. It's okay for you to love yourself, to not judge yourself for making a necessary call. That's okay. It's okay to do that. It's okay to make decisions for yourself. It's okay. Okay? It's okay. Let me go ahead and read you guys' final poetry. I'm getting hungry. Love it. I love it. I was feeling this heat rising. I was totally feeling this heat rising. You know, when I was born, in one part of the world, it was 222. 222. It was pretty cool. Sorry. So, card number 21, Sacred Phoenix Heart. Under the cover of blood, love veils many rose gardens. In total faith, love tenderly guides every lover to the garden of the heart. Reason says the world is limited in 6 directions. There's no way out. Love says there is a way, and I've traveled it many times. How I adore your defiant, rebellious heart. It knows that what for the mind is an end is for the heart simply another match to ignite the sacred flames. It eats of love until it's filled and then becomes hungry again and eats some more. And again, it eats of love until it's so full it must simply explode into a sacred fire of passion. It bursts, incapable of sustaining old consciousness in the expanse of blessings unlimited, lavished upon it through the great beloved's affection. It would be like attempting to fit an ocean in a teacup. So it does not. It bursts forth like a dying star into spectacular radiance, only to be reborn again, new and hungry for the next feeding frenzy in love's great banquet. How I adore your defiant, spectacular heart. Love guides us through travails that seem improbable, if not impossible. It does not shy away from any challenge, from any cause. It cannot. It's just love's way. Love says to us, there's always another way. You are receiving this guidance now. Perhaps you are scratching your head quizzically or in deepest despair because you appear to have met a dead end, a frowning no or a dismissive laugh upon your quest to bring love alive. So then, do you choose to believe in love or in the death of sorts of your heart faces? Your heart shall rally. I choose death because that's the portal to new life. And so it is wise, you see, but you have to be brave. To be burned in love, by love, for love, will involve endurance of pain, but it will also place it in context. It's a shorter pain that's not compounded by erroneous thinking. That pain comes and goes quickly when you realize that love is simply playfully smacking your wrist and saying, not that way, beloved. There are great pitfalls on that path. Come take this one where there shall be wine and dancing. So you're guided to accept the closed doors, the death, the pain, and to let it become tinder for your fire. Cry whatever tears need to be cried so your tinder can be dry and ready to create the sparks your heart needs. That sacred phoenix, ready to die into life with you, is hungry for the fire. Let it feast so you can fulfill its potential, its divine destiny, and become born again into new form, more divinely aligned and alive than ever before. This oracle comes with a message for you. You may feel as though you've been wandering in a desert for many years with no oasis in sight. You might have been through darkness, through trials, endured confusion and uncertainty as you sought for your truth, sought divine revelation, and sought your purpose to confirm your plans. Seek no more. The answers are now given, or very soon will be, and the life, the passion, the purpose, it will all come to you in clarity. Does life need to be grasped for? It's bestowed according to grace and destiny. It need not be sought so much as received. I gotta read that again. It need not be sought so much as received. The spiritual destiny that calls your soul, even while you may feel your bodily ears are deaf to the call, makes your heart leap. It's as though hearing the beloved's voice and stirring an ancient memory of love so powerful moves you, even without you necessarily understanding how or why. So let the life come to you. Be prepared to let the old version of your life pass away into the new life now being born. What does this mean? It means letting go of your striving, your opinions, your doubts, your despair, and your fears. Life wants to happen through you. You don't have to do much other than get out of your own way. Love is your nature. Let it flourish and life shall unfold accordingly. This oracle brings a particular message regarding divine timing. that oh so significant factor in our dreams coming to life. Your time is fast approaching. It may even be now. It may seem least likely to you. There may be great darkness or confusion, and yet the unveiling of the new dawn is closest to the deepest darkness of the night. Do not turn back or away from your progress. Your very next step shall be upon hallowed ground, rendered golden by the rays of the rising sun. Mm. 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 The world needs the return of the Bodhisattvas. The world needs their return. Are you guys familiar with what a Bodhisattva is? It's something so profound. And humanity has been graced by the presence of Bodhisattvas several times. Several times. They've graced this earth. They need to come back. I think they have. I think Bodhisattvas already walk amongst us. But they need to find their voice. They need to allow themselves to receive. Does life need to be grasped for? It's bestowed according to grace and destiny. It need not be sought so much as received. The spiritual destiny that calls your soul. The Bodhisattvas are being asked to come forward, to be witnessed. To be witnessed as both the fire and the phoenix. Knowing that their efforts, their purpose, their energy cannot be depleted. It simply is transformed. From the fire to the phoenix, all is one energy. Transmutation, alchemical processes, all of that beauty. Allowing that fire to take form and be reborn. Look into Bodhisattvas. You might recognize that you are one. That you are a living embodiment of the gods and goddesses who have asked for so many generations that humanity be reunited in its purpose and its destiny. That is so profound. You're guided to accept the closed doors, the death, the pain, and to let it become tinder for your fire. All of these things that dry out because the energy no longer flows there, those are necessary. A fire cannot burn without the tinder. Fresh growth doesn't burn easily. It smokes. It smolders. It takes a very long while before fresh wood will catch fire. The fire must be extremely hot. It must be exposed to that fire for a time to dry out the outer layers. Yes, Chidi. A person who's able to reach nirvana but delays doing so. That they would choose to suffer beside you, so your suffering is not in vain. That they would choose to walk beside you, knowing they can fly, to help guide every step. Not to control you, but to encourage and empower as you travel through your process of growing, of expanding. And now maybe it's not enough. Maybe the Bodhisattvas need to come forward and allow humanity to witness their rise. Rise from the ash of obligation so the people can follow behind you. And just as a wildfire leaves clarity in its path, all the growth is burned down. Someone say, oh my God, that's so destructive. It's so unnecessary, is it? All the things that burn eventually return to the soil, creating a richness for new growth. And maybe humanity didn't understand. Maybe they only saw, even in Buddhism, they only saw one aspect of the Bodhisattva. Because Bodhisattvas are complete beings. So if they're capable of such selflessness, such compassion, such capacity to carry that load of suffering for you, to give you a break, if they're capable of such reconstruction, I'd say they're capable of the polar opposite, and not for nefarious causes, but just like a wildfire, clearing the way. So can the Bodhisattva, leaving you still free to decide if you want to follow behind, knowing that path leads to nirvana. Maybe at one point it was necessary to delay the attainment of nirvana out of compassion for those who suffer. And maybe that time is done. Maybe now it's time to enter into a different purpose, knowing still within you is embodied the Bodhisattva, knowing that within you is still that grace, that compassion, that ability to carry and hold a space for those who suffer. But also now taking that role. I'd say the polarity of a bodhisattva is a Durga. Yeah. Look into that as well. Look into that and see. See with clarity. The juxtaposition of the two actually gives gravity and definition to each. You are not just light. You are not just darkness. You are a dance between the two. This dance cannot be choreographed, nor does it want to be. This is a give and take in a playful manner between the light and the dark. I think it's time. It's time to remember all the things that you're to remember at this point, and what that is, I do not know. I do not know. It's time. It's time to begin recognizing. Who am I? How shall I step into the day among the mass of people in the midst of this storm? You are the sky that houses the storm. And the people, the mass of people in the midst of this storm are reflections of you, projections of different parts of you, your perceptions, your experiences. They are projections of an internal circumstance. People used to tell me, like, no, don't worry, girl, the storm will pass. This too shall pass. The sky does not concern itself with momentary storms. It just does not. Nor does it fear the transition from day to night, night to day. It simply exists. Exists in its totality. It's afraid of nothing because it doesn't need to be. Will you identify as the people on the ground? Will you identify as the storm? Will you identify as the raindrops? Or will you see that you are your own totality? You are all those things. And your human eyes are the sky, witnessing it unfold in front of you. Ceremonies are nothing more than human processes to help you remember, to commemorate. Commemorate what? That's all ceremonies are. They commemorate something, a process, an energy, a pathway, an event. So that statement, I've avoided all the ceremonies. You've avoided all the commemorations of what? And that might be an external projection, a behavioral projection of an internal avoiding of all of the events in your life. And when you avoid all the events in your life, you avoid the learning that you're gifted from living and processing. And that in itself is the very thing that dooms you to continue to repeat the same patterns. That is a purgatory, a holding pattern of suffering. The Bodhisattva can no longer suffer beside you. They must show you a way out by exiting. How do children learn? By watching you, by copying your example. For a period when I lived in California before we left, my children and I, while my husband was at work, would sometimes drive through different parts of Stockton. If you guys don't know the 209, Stockton be hood. I'm joking. To me, it is not derogatory. So I just want to clarify that. It's a descriptive word for me. And in no way, shape, or form does it carry the essence or energy of derogatory. So we would drive through the hood sometimes, and it became this thing of the learning program my kids were a part of was in Stockton. And so after class, because we were usually rushing to not be late to class, after class, I would have made lunch already. And so I have food with me for my kids, and I would make extra. Or if we would go and maybe get fast food, I would always buy extra. And, very low income family. So it's getting extra, cooking extra. That's a big deal. That's a big deal. It wasn't something that was easy. It wasn't because there was surplus. It was a decision being made. A conscious decision to share of what little we have to share. And I would take my kids, and as we're, driving through the city to get to the freeway, we would have to pass through quite a few areas that had tent cities. We just pass out food. If I had coins in the car, if I had extra cash, which that was rare, I'd give it to people. Try and spread it out as much as possible. I'd give it to people. My kids would witness this. And so one day, one of my kids, one of the younger ones, they found a sandwich bag of a whole bunch of coins from, change, loose change, and put it in this sandwich bag. I don't know how long this sandwich bag had existed, but there was a sandwich bag, and it was full of coins. And one of my little ones, I don't know where he found it. He gets in the car. So we're going to go pick up the bigger kids. And he's like, Mommy. He's holding the coins. Oh, no. Okay. We'll go after we pick up your brothers. We'll go. He's so happy. He was so happy. He was like, yes. We go pick up the bigger boys, and he's like, basically bragging to his siblings that we're gonna go help people. And it's like this this little dude, he's like toddler. And I was like, so do you want to use it to buy some food to feed people? Do you want to give them the coins? He decided he wanted to buy food. He wanted to feed people that day. Not coins, but food. So we go to McDonald's. We get a whole bunch of stuff from the dollar menu. Because it was hot. It's not almost, it was summer. And so he said they needed ice creams so that they remember life is sweet. And then they get cooled off. And I'm like, okay, we'll get ice creams. We'll get nuggets. We'll get a whole bunch of stuff. We get a whole bunch of stuff. For some reason, there were no homeless people. There were no homeless people or transients in that area that day. I think they had just cleared out a tent city, so everyone left. And I'm like driving around for a few minutes and I can't find anyone. I'm like, baby, there's nobody to feed. There's nobody to feed. The ice cream is melting. We have to just get home. He cried. He cried. And not just little tears, I mean sobbing. He was in his car seat sobbing, like uncontrollable sobbing. He wanted to know where they went. He wanted to feed them. He wanted to see them smiling. And I was just like, I'm sorry, baby. There's no people here for us to feed. He asked me to go drive past the tent city, that area. It's like this underpass. And I was like, okay, that's the last place we're going to check. And then we have to go home. All of this ice cream and everything is melting. There were no tents. There were no tents. He couldn't understand why they were gone. He needed me to tell him their families finally cared. And that's why they weren't there. I can't lie to my kids. I told him, there's a lot of garbage here. I think the city forced them to leave. He couldn't understand. Like, why would they do that? Where will they go? But they're sad. But their family doesn't care. Well, where will they go? Who will feed them? Those were things he was asking me. I don't know. I don't know. And it was that time he learned not all families are like ours. Not everyone cares to the degree that we do. He still is very compassionate. He's one of the most compassionate, most loving children you will ever meet, if I ever let you meet him. I don't think so. But here's the thing. Children learn from what they see. That's how they learn. That's how their character is formed. That's how they learn. Allow your character to be reshaped. Allow it to be reshaped by your life experiences, by your pain, by your suffering, by the people who hold space for you when you feel the world encroaching and crushing you. They are the Bodhisattvas of this world. They're the ones who know the pathway to nirvana but choose to stay beside you so you don't suffer alone. And I'm not saying this so that you can go and love on someone. I'm saying this because it's time to have conversations with these people and ask them the questions that will get you the answers. And these are the answers that will help you rediscover the path to your own personal nirvana. Durgas exist for a reason. So do Bodhisattvas. Which aspect of you are you wanting to tap into? Which one will save you from yourself? Do you need to be saved from yourself? Or can you use whatever situation you're in to be the very impetus, the spark that ignites your fire? One of the most powerful things I've ever seen was someone talking about, it was spiritual AF. And she was talking about how the power in the phoenix is not that it destroys, it's that it's not afraid to let go of everything as it rises. Let go of your need to control. Let go of that fear-based response. Let go of the traumas. Let go of all of that. So here's the thing. When we make the analogy of that skydiving trip, all of my traumas, all of my fears, all of my ego-based thoughts and perceptions were left on the ground as I got in that airplane and went up in the air. I didn't need to carry all of that with me in a tiny ass plane. Nor did it go away. It was still there waiting for me as I finished my experience. And as I went through that experience, my perception shifted. Somewhere between the time I got shoved out of plane and the time I landed on the ground, something inside me shifted. And all that baggage, emotional and all that baggage that I left on that tarmac as I got in the plane to climb, they were still there. But they were no longer inconveniences. They were treasures, gifts that I needed to unpack one by one. In my appreciation for my life and the very few people who are actually a part of my day-to-day, it expanded. It shifted. It was allowed to anchor fully. I finally understood the way they anchor me into the existence that I currently have. The importance of their presence. And it's more than just being grateful that they're my friends and I can trust them and they don't use me, they don't take advantage of me. They're not just trying to become some type of famous, like I could do that for you. No, it's just they share space. They gently hold me when I think I'm falling apart. They don't force me back together. They don't tell me you need to heal. They just gently hold me as I perceive myself falling apart. That's powerful. What are your expectations of people? What do you really want? What do you want from yourself? What do you want from other people? What are you validating? The positive, the negative, the neutral. And we can't exist in this place of only validating the positive. That's a lie. Don't be a liar to yourself. That's how you burn yourself. Because we think positive, light, fire. That's how you burn yourself. See, the phoenix doesn't actually burn. The phoenix is the fire. So when you lie to yourself, you take away this potentiality you're attempting to reach. This potentiality of that moment of recognition, you will never be burned because you are the fire. But when you try and fake it, When you put on all that glittery stuff and that phoenix costume, promise, you'll burn. You'll burn. Emulating is not the same as being. Pretending, fake it till you make it, it's still being fake. Where are you making it to? A place where people just want the aesthetic of you? Because the reality is this: if that's a place of truth, faking it till you make it, they know you're fake. They know you're faking. But when you're in an environment that supports a fake it till you make it logic, they don't care if you're fake. They just want the aesthetic. As long as you deliver the aesthetic that they want, it's all good. You can stay. We don't care if you're real or fake. You got the right vibe. Grow beyond that. Grow beyond the reach of the claws of that monster. That's a monster. And just because the venom sedates you before it consumes you does not mean anything outside of you're oblivious. You're oblivious to the fact that you're about to be consumed. Be aware. Be fearless in your fear. Be fearless in your fear. It's okay to be afraid. It's okay to continue to be powerful even though you feel afraid. So that's where I'm going to leave you guys. Please give this video a thumbs up. If you haven't already subscribed, please do subscribe. Turn on that notification bell. Join me when I'm live. I should be going live later on today, either for expedites or for a crystal auction. I have boxes upon boxes of crystals here in this room with me. All of those crystals were exposed, not just to all my travels for the past how many years, but also to that dragon rider energy from last night. Potent AF. Potent AF. So we'll have to decide if I'm going to do an auction, if I'm going to do exits. I think both and both are valid. How this plays out. Thumbs up and subscribe. I'll see you guys again very soon.